I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic, and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Hey friends, welcome to POSTGAME here at Hilton Coliseum as Iowa State routes TCU today. Gets back on track. 82-52 was the final. My name is Chris Williams. Let's break this thing down. We want to thank our friends at Channel Seed, your presenting sponsor of pre- and postgame here on Cyclone Fanatic. We'll have women's pregame coming up in just a little bit as the ladies are set to take on Colorado in the second half of a doubleheader here today in Hilton Coliseum. Also, our friends at Keen Project Solutions for bringing us coverage today. Keen Project Solutions is celebrating 10 years of innovation, serving ag, industrial, and commercial customers with pride. Think different. Think Keen.com. And the Natuzel boys, Clay and Chase, over at Raymond James. God bless them for putting up with us. Great partners. And they can help you get on track financially. Remember them, financial advisors who love the Cyclones. Clay and Chase, Natuzel with Raymond James. Iowa State wins it today, 82-52, in what was kind of a no-doubter, felt like, from when this thing tipped off. Of course, it was an eventful morning with ESPN's College Game Day in town. And we also got news early that Milan Momcilovic would make his return after 3 to 4 weeks of an absence. Don't know exactly how long it was, but it felt like an eternity. And he was great in his first game back, 22 minutes. Milan goes 4 of 7 from 3 with 14 points. That's obviously going to be a big story here in the post-game press conference. What does that do for Iowa State? Well, you saw it. You couldn't collapse the lane. It makes everything easier for everybody when you have that stretch 4 out there. And it proved it today. So we'll break it all down for you. A 30-point win it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's something to get excited about. And Iowa State really, really needed that. Just from a confidence standpoint, there are things to still pick at. 15 turnovers is too many. But I could also make the argument that this team was kind of relearning how to play with its stretch 4 in the lineup, its stretch 3, however you want to call and define Milan when he's in the lineup. So that needs to get worked on. Iowa State made a big offensive adjustment for that Kansas game on Monday, and then you kind of have to reverse that back. I think Milan, it depends on who you talk to. I think today was always the target to get him back. I think that the Cincinnati game was probably the worst case type of deal after his minor hand surgery. But it's great to get him back now, especially with a road trip to UCF coming up on Tuesday. I know Iowa State killed that team a couple weeks ago. But that's a very different team when you go on the road, as is the case with anything in this conference. But what did Iowa State do well today? Well, first of all, it helps when you shoot the ball well, right? You know, Iowa State was 3 of 21 from 3 at Lawrence on Monday. Iowa State goes 9 of 19 from beyond the arc today. Curtis Jones, 5 of 6 from 3. Whew, that's tough. That's tough cooking right there. The other thing to point out was how poor Iowa State's posts were a week ago against Kansas State. Deshaun Jackson, Joshua Jefferson combined for 27 points today. They combined to go 11 of 17 from the field with 15 rebounds. Game changer. Total game changer. Now, granted, the opponent is different as well, but, it's such a tough deal because I can't tell you guys how many of you in the comments or tweeted at me, well, the good teams, they'll figure it out when there's an injury. I understand that. The way Milan impacts how you can defend this team is so drastic, and we saw it. There's really good coaches in this league. Really good coaches in this league. And, you get beat on a miracle shot at Arizona. The the Kansas State game was inexcusable to lose the way that they did a week ago. But if you're putting an entire season on how you go in this stretch without Milan, and one game at Allen Fieldhouse, I mean, that's pretty tough expectations to put on a program. And they struggled the last few weeks, but today was a get-right game, and they certainly did. There are still things to work on. Again, you cannot turn the ball over at this rate if you're Iowa State. You just cannot. That has to be addressed. This has to be a roster that's turning it over 10 or few times per game. And I think they'll get back to that. You saw a step in the right direction with Kansas in that game, despite not making any shots. That will get better. The guy I'm really interested in at this point is Keyshawn Gilbert, because I think I could make the argument that of anybody on the roster that was impacted when 22 was out of the lineup, it's Gilbert. Because what did we see these opposing teams do? We saw them collapse the lane. We saw them defend the paint and take away Iowa State's ability to penetrate. We saw them take away they roughed up Curtis. They weren't letting Curtis and his floater. Keyshawn Gilbert does a lot of things really well with the basketball in his hand. He's the best attacker Iowa State has. He plays downhill, and that's when he's at his best. And that, I think, started to really frustrate him, that he couldn't get into the lane and finish around the basket the way that he had been, right? So good to see him get a couple of those plays today. He still had 5 turnovers. That's okay. Got to work on that. We've already addressed that. But I think that'll get better now with Milan being back. I hope so. That is my hope, is that Keyshawn is gonna have that back. But I thought he took a step forward despite the turnovers today. He had 8 assists and 4 rebounds. I really like seeing that. Him to have 8 and 5, 13 assists today for Lipsy and Gilbert, the combination. Love seeing that. And Lipsy has 1 point, Keyshawn has 8, but you don't always need to score. If Curtis has 24, and now you're getting something from your forwards, which you haven't been, and the bigs are combining for 27. It's a pretty good day out there at the office, right? So, the other thing, and I know that you guys are going to bring this up, the rotation today, Heisey is still the guy there. I think a lot of you were maybe expecting Demarion Watson to have that spot in the rotation after the last few weeks. Maybe I was too. But Heisey, again, so much changed when Milan went out. Everybody's role had to change a little bit. And my guess is that Nate's role maybe got a little bit beyond him as far as being a Big 12 player. As far as his role as a Big 12 player is to be an elite energy guy, defender. He's your most versatile defender on the team probably. And you got to go back to doing that now, as opposed to, you got to have him shoot. Man, maybe he should just shoot when he can if he's only playing, 10 to 15 minutes as opposed to 25, right? So let's just tap the brakes and see. We know what Watson can do. This is not a writing off of Demarion Watson. I can promise you that. They know what he can do. He's still a very valuable member to this team. But before Milan got hurt, they were the second-ranked team in the country, okay? So it seems a bit extreme to change too much now that he is back. This is one of those deals where, again, you were the second-ranked team in the country when this guy went out. Trust the coaches. They're trying to win. They're not. There's not like some target on Demarion Watson's back trying to screw him. That's not how this works. He's a very valued member of this program. You've seen that in the last couple of weeks. And I can promise you it's not the last we're going to see of him this season. So this was a good day today. It certainly doesn't fix everything, but this is a step in the right direction. And you watch this game today, even as 15 turnovers, you feel like, yeah, that's a top 10 team in the country, right? That looked like a top 10 team in the country. If you're a top 10 team in the country, you're capable of going to the Final Four and winning the national championship. And felt like Iowa State was back at that level today, despite the fact that this was not a great TCU team. We're not going to sit here and act like they, just beat Houston by 30. It's not what's going on here. But this was a program that needed something positive to happen. They needed to see the ball go in the hoop, and that's exactly what happened today at Hilton Coliseum. So your final was 82-52. Just looking at a couple other notes. It's really all I have for you. I wanted to see Iowa State in transition today. They got 22 points off of turnovers. And that's always going to be important. It's less important with Milan back in the lineup because they're a much better half-court team when he's out there. But nonetheless, that still has to be the bread and butter for this roster. It still has to be. Is perimeter defense, getting in transition, scoring off of transition. That has to be this program. No matter what you have out there, it has to be what they do best. And getting back to that, and, because what we've seen, and Otts has alluded to this, is when the offense started to struggle because they're not as good in the half court, they started to not be as good on defense, which you can't have happen. And that happens to players across the sport of basketball at every level. Not making your threes, I don't care. Play defense. See it in high school ball every night. Shut up and play defense, right? And that's got to be where this program, that's got to be the constant with this group. And hopefully the rock bottom has been hit, and today was a turning point. That's all I've got for you from now. Good day. Women are playing tonight. Let's get them another win. Get them into the NCAA tournament so March can be one hell of a time for everybody. My name is Chris Williams. It was 82-52. We thank our presenting sponsor, Channel Seed. We thank our friends at Keen Project Solutions and also the Natuzel family with Raymond James Financial. Aiden Wyatt produced today's show, and Williams and Bloom will be back on Sunday to break it all down for you. And we've got postgame and pregame coming up tonight for the ladies' game, so keep an eye on all of that. Thanks so much for watching us live. Thanks so much for listening on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.